Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
Beatrice.
Okay, thank you very much. And I must say that I'm very happy to be sharing the same platform with my Leonard Senior. You know, I've seen him in person a number of times, but all the time he was sitting. So I didn't know he was this young, and he still has a flat tummy. And at his age, he has a flat tummy. I think the young people should advise them. Maybe the camera can zoom for us to see. No, I'm sorry, I didn't think about you. And so I want to pay respects to him. They have paved the way, they have paid their dues, and we take a lot of inspiration from them. Also, it brings me to the point that the NDC is a political tradition that respects its heroes. In the NDC, what you need is your potential to be a member of the NDC, and posterity will be kind to you. I think my senior seated here didn't have to have any great-grandfather, any godfather. I don't have any godmother or any godfather in the party, but I think that the party gives young people opportunities. My senior has sought to digest the issue of Alan in chapters, and I think we were on chapter 4 when he concluded. I'll do a synopsis of that book because I can't continue the chapter, so I'll try and do a synopsis of that book. The treatment meted out to Alan Tremantin, for me, should tell the young people of this country, whom today we are being told Alan is targeting, that the NPP is not a political tradition that if you're a young person and you're watching or listening to me, you should even associate with. It's a political tradition that if your great-grandfather or your grandfather is not from a Dankwa, Buzia or Dombo tradition, you have no space in that political party. Alan's crime is because if you trace his lineage, none of his great-grandparents had lunch with Dombo. None of his uncles lived in the same community with Dankwa. And obviously, his mother didn't have friends in the Buzia tradition. And so today, when they go to the polls, and they even have to elect a leader that they seek to impose on the people of Ghana after their abysmal performance, they are still holding on to that backward tradition of you must come from a certain Dankwa, Buzia or Dombo tradition. And I felt that for a person of Alan's stature, he should have seen this coming. And I agree with my senior when he said that in 2007, he shouldn't have sacrificed his ambition and say that, oh, because Nanado as a person has no credibility. Nanado is, I don't want to say a liar, but the man certainly is contrary to who he portrays to be. I don't know the people who tagged him as a human rights lawyer, but for me, having sat in the human rights class, I doubt if any lawyer sat in the human rights class would turn out the way the president has turned out. He has no respect for democratic principles. He has no respect for rule of law. He has no respect for contrary opinion. He does not even believe that humans must have rights. Everybody must fall in line to suit his whims and caprices. And anybody who seeks to go according to even their own internal rules would have to be ousted. You see, when these things started, with they removing their chairman Afoko, ousting Kwabene Japan, ousting Sami Crab, their vice chairman, where was Alan? He kept quiet. Not even once did he say that these actions threaten the very existence of the party that he has been part of as a founding member. The second thing was that from 2015, the NPP started drifting away from democratic credentials to forming militia group, invisible forces, Delta forces. Nana Addo himself is on record to have brought mercenaries into this country to train people he believed, had to take the laws, because he said that sooner or later, militants on our side who do not believe that the police will have the capacity to protect us will take the law into their arms. When he was saying sebi obia o mienu all die be die, they all kept quiet and they watched the man transform into some terror that today he has terrorized you out of the party. He has practically, as to borrow the expression, narrowed you out of the party. My only sympathies is that for a man who is 68 years, has dedicated more than 30 years of his life to the political party, and in our part of the world, apart from maybe being a lawyer, for whatever profession you belong to, if you're a politician, some way, somehow, you can't even work in any corporate environment. And so you will not have any work to do apart from being a politician. And so because of his association with the NPP, he, apart from those international appointments, he never for the youthful part of his life could do anything apart from being a politician. And today, they have looked at him. He could not even get a simple, fair, democratic election. At least allow him to go through the system. Let the delegates reject him, that maybe we prefer another candidate over him. But no, they would not even give him a democratic process. And these are the people who are ruling Ghana. These are the people who say that they are in charge of a democratic governance. That is why there will be coups in other West African countries and nobody will die. And yet, when we seek to participate in a democratic election, 8 people will die. I have Googled what Alan said about the death of those 8 innocent people and young people that today he says is advocating for. When other young people died in the democratic election because your party were the people behind it, you could not find your voice. Today, the things they have killed humans, and you too, they have killed your political career and ambition. And now you think that you have the young people at heart. You know, much as what has happened to Alan Tremantin is sad, much as it tells the young people that the NPP is not a political party you should ever make a mistake associating with because you have no future, it also tells us that Alan Tremantin is no third force. In fact, his clandestine attempt to position himself, and this morning, if you listen to Solomon's submission, it appears they are fed up with the NDC and they are fed up with the NPP, and so Alan is coming to do a Ghana transformational policy, GTP, and a 10-point transfer. Please, they have nothing useful to offer the people of Ghana. If Alan had not been pushed out of the NPP race, he would have been part of the NPP shambolic governance. He was a minister of trade for well over 6 years. Your predecessor created the Commander Sugar Factory, secured funding. You could not operationalize the company. You could do nothing about it. Today, Solo is saying that, oh, the 1 district, 1 factory was because the alarm betted. Please, the 1 district, 1 factory was never under the umbrella of the trade ministry. And so Solo checked the parliamentary Hansard. When Alan went to parliament and he was being questioned about that, he was fumbling. It took the NDC then minority leader, Honorable Haruna, to say that, Mr. Minister, why are you stressing yourself? You and I know that that is not under your ministry. So why cover up? Your own party people could not believe that Allah was capable of undertaking 1 district, 1 factory. And all of a sudden you think you have a certain transformational agenda for Ghana. that narrative is a narrative of people in government and NPP members who are disappointed and disenchanted about the shambolic performance of their government. They are so embarrassed that the NPP they knew has descended this low, and so they want to create a certain narrative that, you know what, for some reason we cannot openly associate with the NDC, and the NPP too, we are not wanted, of course, because some of them, their tribal lineage will not even allow them to be wanted in the party. So let's create a certain narrative that, you know, NPP and NDC, they are all no good. Please, that is a lie. In major democracies in the world, normally you will have a lot of political parties, but it is always two dominant political parties that form the government. And there is a reason behind that. Because of organization, mobilization, how nations transform, and the kind of people you need to even run a government and what have you. And so that is why sometimes you find fine material experts. Today, I'm having proposals from a lot of lawyers, medical doctors that we want to join the NDC, we want to communicate for the NDC. Why? What electorates, and if you are watching me and listening to me, should be looking at is that between the two dominant political parties we have in the duopoly, which of the two has a transformational agenda? What is the track record of both political parties when they are in and out of power? Because independent candidates, like political parties, do make mistakes. And political parties do make mistakes when they are in power. What we should be looking at is a political party that accepts its mistakes, listen to the people, and champion a certain agenda for the people. And so when you question them and you say that, do not rope the NDC into your incompetence, into your shambolic and reckless governance that we are having to experience under you. For 40 times, our country is all-time low. Then they say, oh, you know, the NDC has no policies. And so as we speak, the NDC has not been able to give you policies. The NDC went into the 2020 election with a manifesto. So we have a policy. In any case, while you are in government, it is not the NDC's responsibility to give you policies. If you know that you don't have policies to give, you can come to us. Obviously, when you compare our ministers to your ministers, it is like comparing apples to stones, not even oranges. You can match it from finance ministry, roads ministry, any form of ministry. At a point, you couldn't even have a gender minister. So the men which you promise you have, you don't have. And I've heard that, you know, the NDC can tell you, please. Alan Tremantin, even in his statement, is plagiarizing the NDC's policy. Let me show you, and I'll give you evidence. Don't worry. You know me, I don't speak like that. I'll give you evidence. In his resignation press conference, what did he say? Ghana is at a crossroad. So if you have the speech, Google it. If you have it, search for the word crossroad.
Crossroad, it predates you. It predates the NDC.
When John Dramani Mahama said that Ghana was at a crossroad, and at the time proposed and gave a lot of things that the president could activate in his presidential toolkit available, including going to the IMF, what did they say? Today, 2 years after John Dramani Mahama has said it, all of a sudden, Mr. Alan Tremantin has realized that Ghana is at a crossroad, and so we need him. We don't need him. The people of Ghana don't need him. He could not even convince his own party people to give him some democratic liberties to, enjoy that as a citizen. Some way, somehow, he can lead a transformation of the whole country. He just does not have that administrative capacity to be the leader, much as what has happened to him is sad. And so let's separate the two things. And so let me tell you, one of the major policies of the next NDC government that I am so happy and proud about is running a 24-hour economy. Solo travels a lot. In fact, in November, he will travel again.
Look.
So now when you go to other economies, the economies don't shut down at 7 p.m. The reason there are jobs is because a lot of young people can work and run shifts. And so for well over 60 years, we've practiced a certain system. And we are saying that the demands of young people today, the exigency of our time demands that there has to be a major economic shift. That is a major economic shift. If you people have no idea how it can be done, or you cannot even appreciate the nuances that in itself is a major policy, please keep quiet. The second policy is that your government, which you resigned just last Monday from, has had the biggest size of government in the history of Ghana. Even Nkrumah, who gained independence for us, was not that reckless. He could have said that all the people who joined me in the struggle, let me create ministerial appointment for him. You came and you had 126 ministers. You paid ex gratia to over 1,000 office of president, staff, and ministers and that. President John Dramani Mahama is saying that he will scrap that ex gratia, irrespective of the fact that he's taken some before, because times have changed. And if you are a leader, the only constant thing is change. When the demands of your people change, you must change to suit what the people want. So no, that is a policy.
That you scrap.
We will not run a family and friends government where the president's daughters and this president has 51 family members in his government. That's we will give the opportunity to other people who are not associated and related to the president to have their say and how they can manage this country. So that is also a policy.
All right.
We have a lot of policy. Today we are being told that people in Kolebu cannot even afford the dialysis. Check the NDC 2020 manifesto. We promised to set a kidney fund to support people who have this cancer and had to go on dialysis. So we have a policy. The difference between the NPP and the NDC is that the NDC has a transformational agenda. It will not take 1 year, 2 years. The question is, whenever the people demand for accountability, you should be able to show that you are doing something. So now you people have no record in any sector of the economy. Take health. Solomon seated here until last week when he resigned cannot pinpoint a single hospital in 7 years that its government has built. I can tell you that the NDC built 1,200 Shụtṣ compound with 1,600 at various levels of completion by way of primary health care for the villages. In Asimot, when we were campaigning, it got to a point that anywhere you went, any village, sometimes all the houses were mud houses. They had access to electricity. It was the doing of the NDC. The schools they have, it was the doing of the NDC. Almost every infrastructure. So the NPP and the NDC are not the same. When we are comparing, apart from Kwame Nkrumah and the colonial masters, the only political tradition that has given the people of Ghana universities, I can count 3, is the NDC. What is your equivalent of that? If you cannot answer the question, don't lump NDC and NPP together and say that some way, somehow, we think there are some people who may not be happy about both NDC and NPP, or our own political people who have been maltreated. So let's rally them. Please, rally your NPP people behind, and we wish you well in that rally. But do not drag the NDC into this your divided and tattered house. The NPP is not a political party that anybody should entrust the management of a country into its hand. And all these things which are playing out, pushing Alan Tremantin out, collapse of the banking sector and everything, Senna, it is contained in a certain book they have titled Ejapadie. They deny the authorship of that book. Some way, somehow, the book is like a myth. Nobody authored it, but everything in the book is playing out, including names mentioned. In that book, they said that now that Nanado will be exiting, we need to continue to have control. I read it this dawn at 4 a.m. I woke up and I read it. We need to have control over the political party and various financial sectors. To do that, we need a Nodna who we can control. And so obviously the mantle will fall into on Baumia, who Alan has described as his election will be a coronation. My senior says it's an anointing service. Anointing, they are going to anoint him. So they are playing according to script. And so when you are disappointed in your party, when you are disappointed that your party has disgraced you, that you communicators are practically struggling on every platform, you cannot even mount any defense. When you are disappointed that, like Alan said, some few unscrupulous people have hijacked the party and the powers behind the curtains are those controlling, please do not rope the NDC into your incompetence. So as for Mr. Alan, we wish him well. The NPP has succeeded in destroying his ambition. He is no third force, and much as we sympathize with him, he should be in his lane and not try to draw the NDC into some, I don't even know. It's not even funny. I wish him well.
Oh, that is why Bichusana says Alan should be in his lane. Anyway.
She's afraid that Alan was...
Well, let me do a few more comments that I'm getting before I come to KOD to conclude for us. Elliot Tugbe says if Alan feels he has a strong force backing him, why don't he form a new party rather than running as an independent candidate? You've seen his type where a parliamentary candidate denounced his membership and went into polls as an independent candidate. He was voted for and later joined the NPP again to cause all this mess we are facing now. Rawlings once said that these people can never change. They are always the same people with different names. Alan has been part of this government for 7 years, adding to the mess created by this government, and all of a sudden he now realizes that the NPP has had it wrong just because he wants to run for presidency. Thank you, Elliot, for sending that message. This is from Communicator, who says, Solomon also says they want fresh blood in governance. Has Alan not been part of the governance of the, has Alan been part of the 16 years governance of the NPP or not? The logic, eh? That's a Communicator. Thank you very much for that message. Alhaji Hamza in Pig Farm is joining us, says, good morning. The resignation of Alan from the NPP party has been long overdue. In my humble opinion, the treatment meted out to Allah by this mafia is totally unacceptable. You don't need a magician to tell you that President Nanado is the one behind all these plans to bring the political career of Alan to an end in the party. I don't believe there's democracy in NPP. My brother, where is Mr. Polafoko, Kobna Japan, Sami Crab and others? They have all been silenced simply because they belong to the Kufuor camp. But as a member of the great NDC, I am more than happy seeing this happening. And I call on many NPP supporters to follow Alan's footsteps. And President Nanado and the NPP cannot be trusted. Thank you for that message. Abbas Amogobo in Offenso says, President Nana Akufo-Addo is a walking disaster. He has not only disintegrated the NPP party, but has fatally destroyed the Ghanaian economy. He is very arrogant, selfish, and vindictive. The president is just something not worth talking about. That is Abbas Amogobo in Offenso. This is Kofi Sika, who says, Sana, doesn't the NIA use the guarantor system in their registration? So why does the EC abhor their own guarantor system but they embrace that of the NIA? Isn't it a clear indication of incompetence and cluelessness? Thank you, Kofi Sika, for that message. Well, this is from Alhaji Haruna in Ashaman. Says, and at least Alan Chomantin for the first time will have his photo on the ballot paper, seeking to be president. So I call on Solomon to keep the fire burning and get more votes in Bantama and parts of Ashanti for Alan. I wish them well. Alhaji Haruna sent that from Ashaiman. Then finally, Julius Agahua and Tahir Sawase says, Senator Nana Addo has succeeded in destroying everything in this country, including his political party, which resulted in Alan's breakaway from the NPP. Alan cannot run away from the blame for destroying everything in this country because he was there when the wicked leader was destroying it. He kept quiet because he endorsed it. So Alan should stay cool and allow JM to come and repair all the damages he and Nana Addo did to this country. Thank you very much. And then let me conclude with Ambassador Sampiali. Fresh blood power. How can blood rejected by his own body and thrown to the boiler of the blood bank be fresh? Alan is now a political monument.
Debbie Kama, Mamena Pendream TV. Now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, Pendream TV.